Hello, all. I am and Y. You are listening to the Bible reading series. If you have not watched the first episode, please do so. There is a disclaimer there. I don't want you to come to this with any presuppositions that shouldn't be there. For those that have listened, they're probably tired of that. I have about 1,200 more chapters to go, so I may be saying that more than you want. However, on to more important things. As we typically start, the Lord's Prayer, Matthew 6, 9 through 13, King James. After this manner therefore pray ye, Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen. I just read chapter 9, and this line here is quite an interesting line to me in the Lord's Prayer, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Seems to fit very well in what we're about to read. However, how about we read it first, and then we can get to commentary. This is Genesis 9, King James Version. Covenant, heading is Covenant of the Rainbow. And God blessed Noah and his sons, and said unto them, Be fruitful, and multiply, and replenish the earth. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every fowl of the air, upon all that moveth upon the earth, and upon all the fishes of the sea. Into your hand are they delivered. Every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you. Even as the green herb have I given you all things. But flesh, with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall ye not eat. And surely your blood of your lives will I require. At the hand of every beast will I require it, and at the hand of man, at the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man. Whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed, for in the image of God made he man. And you, be ye fruitful and multiply, bring forth abundantly in the earth, and multiply therein. God spake unto Noah and to his sons with him, saying, And I, behold, I establish my covenant with you, and with your seed after you, with every living creature that is with you, of the fowl of the cattle, of the fowl of the cattle, and of every beast of the earth with you, from all that go out of the ark to every beast of the earth. And I will establish my covenant with you. Neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of a flood. Neither shall there any more be a flood to destroy the earth. And God said, This is the token of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth. And it shall come to pass, when I bring a cloud over the earth, that the bow shall be seen in the cloud. Now remember my covenant, which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh, and the waters shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. And the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, that I may remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth. God said unto Noah, This is the token of the covenant which I have established between me and all the flesh that is upon the earth. And the sons of Noah that went forth of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And Ham is the father of Canaan. These are the three sons of Noah, and of them was the whole earth overspread. And Noah began to be an husbandman, and he planted a vineyard. And he drank of the wine, and he was drunk, and he was uncovered within his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father, and told his two brethren without. And Shem and Japheth took a garment, and laid it upon both their shoulders, and went backward, and covered the nakedness of their father, and their faces were backward. And they saw not their father's nakedness. Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his younger son had done unto him. And he said, Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. And he said, Blessed be the Lord God of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. God shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servants. And Noah lived after the flood 350 years, and all the days of Noah were 950 years, and he died. Here's where we change to commentary. I'm going to do a slight commentary for myself here. First, this is I'm going to speak of hope and faith. Noah hoped in what God was going to provide, what God was going to do. He hoped in it, and then it came to be. So all actions that we do have a uncertainty to them. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know where it's going to lead, but we can hope in these things. Now, I've heard a lot of people have negative thoughts about hope. I think it leads. It is because it leads into what people assume as blind faith. Now, what I disagree with here is that faith is not blind. It is built upon a bedrock of hope. Like I said, all actions are technically uncertain, no matter what they are. Like me starting this podcast was extremely uncertain, still uncertain to me. I'm not certain of the consequences. I'm not certain of my capability, but I can hope. I can, sorry about my dog. I can hope in what it will provide to people, myself, and future generations, which I personally think is something that God is massively concerned about, as we'll see in the rabbinical writings here, at least what I can read from them. There is also another thing here we see is the symbol of blood. I don't want to read too much into, the blood and the soul in some parts here, but what I think that's meaning is that the blood is basically like if you just drained a person of their blood, they're not going to live. So there's, if they're living, they're going to have flowing blood as a concept here. But I'm going to see if I can see something else. This bow that is put in, or I keep on saying, yeah, it's bow. I keep on thinking bow in my head, and it's bow, like a bow you shoot things with. But this is the rainbow. This is what we see in the sky after a rain, or during a rain. Excuse me. This is God's promise that He's not going to kill everybody on the planet with waters. This is something that concerns me in this current day and age. Not just with this, there are symbols that God uses in what He gives humanity to remind us of what He's done for us, and it's concerning to me because people will use certain things like that for nefarious purposes. And maybe not even nefarious per se. Let's just give the devil his due. Let's just say it's, we're just trying to be, friendly. We're trying to be hopeful. That's using it for something that it's not meant to be used for. And if I was to give somebody something, right, and then they turned around and used that thing for other than the purposes that I gave it to them for, and those purposes were, in my eyes, not good, in my opinion, is that not, I'm trying to pick my words carefully here, offensive to me? Would that not be offensive and provoking? Now, if I bring up Webster's here, That's going to take a second. Yeah, that's taking much longer than expected. It must be their websites or their servers. So in the dictionary here, if I bring up this word here, blasphemy, that word actually means to provoke, essentially. Now, the beginning of this is to speak of the Supreme Being in terms of impious irreverence, to revile, or to speak reproachfully of God, to speak evil of, to utter abuse, or I'm not familiar with that word. That's a new one. I'll have to look that one up. To speak reproachfully, to arrogate the prerogatives of God. This reproachfulness is what I'm talking about. The first syllable is the same as in blame, blaspheme, and in this. And so what I'm trying to say is we should be careful and using things that God has put onto this planet, or maybe placed here to remind us of his goodwill, is what I'm saying. He could have just wiped out all of humanity. But, and this goes to my point about generations past, but he left Noah alive and his family. Him knowing everything, if we consider that, into the future and all of those things, and I'm not trying to be disparaging of that concept. I'm just simply saying that if he does know everything to the nth degree like that, then he knows exactly what's about to happen. I just read it. There's some nuance to this. I'm going to caution the rest of this reading, as there's going to be content that is a little hard to read or listen to, so be forewarned. But there is what exactly the nakedness of Noah is here, and how the rabbi reads this and the cultural understanding of this. So, like I said, be forewarned. Maybe not a great place to put this warning, since it's like in the middle, but if you're listening along, I would be surprised if you just jumped ahead to the point that I'm reading that and then missed this. I'm not sure. Anyways, tell me the comments, but there is this, because it's strange here. Maybe we could, it's strange here that just saw the nakedness of his father. Maybe it is. Maybe it is strictly just the nakedness of his father. He saw the nakedness of his father, and this was sinful enough for Noah to curse his younger son. Or one of his younger sons. And so, we'll get to that here in a second. We also see Noah coming in here and doing exactly what God told man to do: to plant trees, to cultivate the land, and to grow the earth. So we'll switch over to the rabbi's commentary here. He speaks about, "And your dread shall be upon the beasts." This, I think he's referring to how animals flee from humanity. I guess it wouldn't have been so as before, or as now, as it was before. So he's basically saying that the animals are given over to man in their fear and their terror. And here, this is one of the first moments in which God basically says that everything that is, of vegetation and animal kind can be eaten. That changes in future text, but we see this concept. But he does say here that Adam was not permitted to eat meat, but only vegetation, because in the earlier chapters, God says, of any tree you shall eat. So reading that with the concept of only eating vegetation, I guess we were vegetarians originally. Excuse me. Not sure, but this is one of the moments. Every moving thing that lives shall be yours to eat, like the green vegetation. I have given you everything. But, and here's the caveat, what's happening here is God is creating a covenant with a contractual agreement, like we spoke about before, to Noah and humanity through Noah, because the generations of humanity come from Noah. So this is basically, he's saying for you and your offspring, this will be the covenant. But flesh with its soul, its blood, you shall not eat. Not sure if that's actually the wording here. Flesh with the life thereof. So yes, the difference between translation here and Septuagint, its blood you shall not eat. So here he says flesh with its soul, he prohibited them to eat, which is, as an example, as long as its soul is in it, you shall not eat the flesh. So if the limb is cut from an animal while it is alive, it is forbidden to eat even after the animal expires. I mean, that would be weird to me, but that is, once again, a cultural thing. So this is developing a culture of not eating animal parts while the animal itself is still alive, but also with its soul, its blood, as long as its soul is within it. Flesh with its soul you shall not eat. This refers to a limb of a living creature, and also its blood you shall not eat. This, therefore, to blood of a living creature. So like I said, if you're a little squeamish, this is the rules. I mean, for those that are squeamish, you're probably going, yeah, I don't want to do that anyways. And it's like, well, yeah, that's kind of the point here. This is developing that aversion to this thing, because God created he created the beasts, he created vegetation, and he doesn't want it disrespected. Just as the symbol that we're going to read about here in a second, we don't want to disrespect man because they're the image bearer, or humanity, because they're the image bearer of God, but also the beasts because it's a creation that God made. So that's part of this. But your blood of your souls I will demand an account. So he's speaking to man, but of us, humanity, he will demand an account of what we've done. From the hand of every beast I will demand it, and from the hand of man, from the hand of each man, his brother, I will demand the soul of man. Here, I'll just kind of read through it quickly, but your blood, even though I permitted you to take the life of animals, your blood I will demand of you who sheds his own blood. So commit suicide. Of your souls, also one who strangles himself, even though no blood issued from him. So this is saying, in the cultural understanding, is that anybody that commits suicide, I will demand an account. From the hand of every beast, since the generation of the flood had sinned, they were abandoned as prey for the wild beasts, which would have power over them. As it is said, he is compared to the silenced animal. Therefore, it was necessary to warn the beasts about them, not to kill them. So I guess this is saying that if a beast kills a man, like a human, then the beast will be held accountable for its actions. And from the hand of man, from the hand of one who kills intentionally without witnesses, I will demand his life. So we see here that murder is one of the, where God's kind of like building the rule set here for man. From the hand of each man his brother. So from the hand of the one who loves him like a brother and killed him unintentionally, I will demand punishment. If he does not go into exile nor beg that his iniquity be forgiven, kind of like that story we saw with Lamech a little earlier. For even the inadvertent sinner requires atonement. So we're starting to see this concept of atonement required for someone who sins, but also inadvertently. If there are no witnesses to sentence him to exile, and he does not humble himself, the Holy One, blessed He, will demand it of him, as our rabbis expounded, and God placed him into his hand. So the Holy One, blessed be He, causes them to meet at the same inn. The passage reads, what is this verse speaking of? Of two men, each of whom had murdered a person. One had murdered intentionally, and one had murdered unintentionally. This one had no witnesses, the other one had no witnesses. The Holy One, blessed be He, causes them to meet at the same inn. The one who murdered intentionally sits under a ladder, and the one who murdered unintentionally climbs down the ladder and falls upon him, killing him. The one who murdered intentionally is killed, and the one who killed unintentionally is exiled. Seems almost unnecessary to have that bit of a story, but this is just going into the fine detail of like, if you've unintentionally, or even if you've unintentionally done it or intentionally done it, and there were no witnesses, it's still demanded of you that you atone or repent. And then and if you've done it unintentionally, it's still required of you. So I think that's what I'm getting out of that. I'm sure there's a little bit more that could be read into that, but I'm not sure if I'm getting those. Whoever sheds the blood of man, through man shall his blood be shed, for in the image of God he made man. And this is exactly what I was saying earlier. To shed the blood of man, to kill someone, is an affront. It's a provocation. It's a despicable act, because God created this thing. God created man. God created animals. God created the earth, meaning all vegetation that's upon the fundament, the dirt of the ground. So we should concern ourselves with that. We are called to care for that. Through man shall his blood be shed. If there are any witnesses, you kill him. Why? For in the image of God, etc. He made man. This is an elliptical verse. It should read, the Maker made man, and there are many such instances in Scripture. I can see that. Whoever sheds the blood of man, through man shall his blood be shed. This is a bit elliptical, and so I assume that what he's getting at is this last phrase should be similar to. Maybe I have that completely wrong, but I think that's what he's saying. But more importantly, moreover, would be shedding the blood of man is like looking at the painter and just tearing up the paint, or the painting that the painter made, is what I'm seeing is more importantly. So moving on, and you be fruitful and multiply, swarm upon the earth and multiply thereon. This is counterintuitive to our generation now. I mean, granted, this is at different times. There are arguments about, periodization with God and his commandments and all of these things. I'm not going to try to get into that. However, I want to think back here for a second. The earth was just multiplied upon. There were more people than we can imagine that were here. I don't know the number. I'm not going to try to hypothesize here, but people had swarmed. There were multitudes of people. Why would Noah now have hesitation to multiply the earth? Well, because God just destroyed everybody. He just witnessed the utter destruction of all man because of their wickedness. And if Noah is a righteous man, he's going, well, this is confusing. Right? So, I think it's important here that, and I believe God is leading me to think that as well. Maybe I'm doing this post hoc, but, well, obviously. But, and you be fruitful and multiply, swarm upon the earth and multiply thereon, is counterintuitive to Noah, because Noah's sitting there going, wait a second, you just destroyed everyone. Why would I go about and try to make more people? But there is also this is like, giving the thumbs up to Noah and his family to go, okay, let's begin again. Be with your wives. And I mean that maritally. And so that's part of the covenant that he has with Noah. According to its simple meaning, the first mention of this expression, verse 1, was a blessing. This mention is a commandment. According to its midrashic interpretation, it is written here to compare one who does not engage in propagation to one who sheds blood. This is what it's saying is counter to what was just said. What was just said, there will be a demand of account on people who murder people, but then it's saying go out and multiply. So you see the negative, and then you see the positive here: the good, the bad, the right, the wrong. Do not kill. Go have kids. They're completely opposing concepts, right? And behold, I'm setting up my covenant with you and with your seed after you. So this here, like I said, God is creating this covenant with Noah, but the generations afterwards. And this is some of it has been said before. I haven't noted on it, but this is kind of like one of the premier concepts in the Bible is seed, offspring. The generations after come from seeds. A tree will grow from the ground. It will produce fruit. That fruit will fall to the ground, either consumed by an animal, man, whomever. Then the seeds will then be replanted into the ground to beget another tree. However, in the process of planting this tree, it can be stymied, meaning it can be stopped. It can be waylaid. It can be problems can arise, and we're going to see this here in just a few seconds. But keep this word here in your mind throughout the Bible. Anytime that seed comes up, this is a rather important word. Anyways, and with every living creature that is with you, among the fowl, among the cattle, and among all the beasts of the earth with you, of all those who come out of the ark, all the living creatures of the earth. So this is the covenant once again being given to Noah, but also to his offspring and the rest of beastdom, the cattle, the fowl, the things that live in the waters. And I will establish my covenant with you, and never again will all flesh be cut off by the flood waters, and there will never again be a flood to destroy the earth. So God establish, and I will establish. I will make a confirmation for my covenant. And what is it? Its confirmation? The rainbow. All right. God promised us that he would never do this again. The whole earth. Now, there have been floods. There have been people that have been killed by floods, but not the whole of humanity. So, I think we should take a moment of concern for this imagery being used currently to propagate certain ideas. If you consider yourself a Christian, my point is not to hate. My point is there are images of the rainbow that are being utilized currently for improper usages, for improper things. What is the thing that this should remind us of? That God has promised and kept his promise to not destroy us all with floodwaters. So, I take great concern of this. Doesn't mean that I judge those. I just think that it's very disrespectful. It is a very disrespectful thing. And we'll see verses later on that say, honor your fathers and mothers. God is our Father. So we should honor him too. I mean, above all, we should honor him, especially if you claim yourself to be a follower of Christ. Anyways, I'll get off my soapbox there. God said, "This is the sign of the covenant which I am placed between me and between you and every living soul that is with you for everlasting generations." Because there was, for everlasting generations, it is written defectively without the letter Vav, because there were generations that did not require the sign because they were completely righteous, such as the generation of Hezekiah, the king of Judah, and the generation of Rabbi. So, this is interesting. I guess you could read into this as the more you see a rainbow, the more concerned you should be about the status of what's going on around the world. But hey, I'm not gonna say that that's it's just an interesting thought. That is a cultural understanding. That is a essentially the word here, the Hebraic, is written defectively without the letter Vav. This it's an indicator within inside of the language, kind of like I'm not sure a good example of this, but basically because this thing is not there, the word itself is intentionally defective, meaning that every single generation requires that. So anyways, interesting thought. I'm not going to be looking up into the sky and seeing, a rainbow and going, we're all dead. Like, that's not, hopefully you don't see that. I don't see that, but it is an interesting thought that maybe if you see, rain without a rainbow, it's like, oh, maybe I'm doing things right, which I don't know. That interesting thought. I would definitely not live my life with that as a symbol of, my righteousness or anything. That would be, I don't know. Very interesting. Enough of that. And it shall come to pass when I cause clouds to come upon the earth, that the rainbow will appear in the cloud. When I cause clouds to come, when it comes to my mind to bring darkness and destruction to the world. So maybe there's some connection between rain clouds and bringing destruction to the world. Once again, I'm not very confusing because rain also provides plants. So maybe this is more referring to when it comes to his mind, instead of like all clouds. It's just when it comes to his mind and there were clouds in the sky and he's like, wait a second, I need to remember this. Which, once again, a little rhetorical if God is all-knowing, but I'm not going to try to dive into that. And the rainbow shall be in the cloud, and I will see it, to remember the everlasting covenant between God and between every living creature among all flesh, which is on the earth. I do have to mention, I'm not trying to be pedantic about this God knowing everything. That's not my intention. I think that phrase may imply things that are unintentional, is what I'm simply trying to say. So please don't hear me attempting to say that God doesn't know all things. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm simply saying that if you define knowing all things in a particular facet, then whatever comes after that. It's not my intention to say that God does not know all things. I'm not trying to be pedantic. Maybe it will be assumed as such, but anyways. And the rainbows, like I said, or as in the verse, and the rainbow shall be in the cloud. Between God and between every living creature. Between the standard of justice of heaven between you, for it should have stated between me and every living creature. But the following is a midrashic interpretation. When the standard of justice comes to accuse you, to condemn you, I will see the aforementioned sign. So, I guess there's counterplay in their culture between this thing of the standard of justice of heaven and humanity, and it comes and it says man should die because of justice. It sees the sign, and therefore it passes over. I can kind of get that because that's what we see in Exodus and future chapters. But, and God said to Noah, "This is the sign of the covenant that I have set up between myself and between all flesh that is on the earth." The repetitiveness, this is to ensure that we know to remember, but also this is like, I'm going to say it twice kind of moments in my head. And God said, is kind of it's a play on, I'm going to ensure that you heard me. Pray I don't say it a third time. But I don't know if God says it in such a punishment style. It's more along the lines of like, I am saying this twice. This is I'm setting this in stone, essentially. So we move on to another portion, and this is where I'm going to say it again. It gets a little. If you're reading, you've probably already seen it, but we're going to get into some darker content. The Bible is not always, rainbows and unicorns. There are unicorns in the Bible, at least one that I know of. And Ham, he was the father of Canaan. Why is this necessary to say? Because up to this point, we don't know who Canaan is, and it is necessary to say that Ham is the father or the one who begets Canaan. So it sets in our mind. We begin to go, oh, okay, Ham, Canaan. I'm really bad at this, so I don't know. Maybe I needed it about 2 more times just so I can remember. Noah began to be a master of the soil, and he planted a vineyard. So a master of the soil, like a husbandman, is someone who plants trees. So he begins to plant vegetation for eating, cultivation of the land, but also to make dirt soil into something profitable, fruitful. Noah, this can be understood as he made himself profane, for he should have first engaged in planting something different. So, though he may be doing something that we're called to do, he may be doing it improperly. For instance, making a vineyard and making wine. Not attempting to say here that drinking alcohol is evil. That's not my point. I'm simply saying that what the rabbi is saying is that Noah chose to do something that maybe God hadn't set aside for him at the moment. And this leads to problems. The master of the earth, Naomi's husband, Rashi explains that Elimelech was called because of his mastery over her. This part here, that's from Ruth, the Naomi's husband piece. This is referring to the master of the soil or the husbandman, which we know that, well, if you've read Ruth, her husband is a husbandman. If I have that correctly, I could be wrong here. Let's see what it says. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyways, put in the comments. My memory of Ruth is a little hazy, so let's just, redact that for a moment. But it's just showing connection of that. And then he planted a vineyard. When he entered the ark, he brought with him vine branches and shoots of fig trees. I'm not sure what to take of that. However, I think I slightly agree with this whole thing is he was put to task, like he put himself to task, but he put himself to task with something maybe that wasn't proper. That's this profaning. And then he makes a vineyard and gets drunk. So he drank of the wine, became drunk, and he uncovered himself in his tent. So, He uncovers himself. That's pretty straightforward. His tent. This alludes to the 10 tribes who were referred to by the name of the Samaria, which was called Aholah, who were exiled on account of wine, as written, who drink from basins of wine, in Amos 6:6. Yeah. Now here's third warning, and then that'll be it. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw his father's nakedness, and he told his 2 brothers outside. A little uncomfortable topic, however necessary, because, well, it's what the culture reads into this. But Ham, and it says it again, maybe I need that third time, saw his father's nakedness, and he told his brothers outside. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw. This is the rabbi's comment. Some of our sages say Canaan saw and told his father, therefore he was mentioned regarding the matter, and he was cursed. Saw his father's nakedness. Now this is cultural read in. Some say that he castrated him, and some say that he sodomized him. These are 2 pretty extreme, but we'll move on because anyways, there's more to be said. And Shem and Japheth took the garment, and they placed it on both of their shoulders and walked backwards, and they covered their father's nakedness, and their faces were turned backwards so that they did not see their father's nakedness. The rest of this here, and Shem and Japheth took, this is talking about the way in which they would be blessed because of their actions to cover their father. Their faces were turned backwards. Why is this stated a second time? This teaches that when they drew near to him and they had to turn around to cover him, they turned their faces backwards. And Noah awoke from his wine, and he knew what his small son had done to him. His small son, the worthless and despicable one. So, not physically small, but worthless and despicable. Behold, I have made you small among the nations, despised among men. So, this here, this shows a caveat here, or a tangent. This shows why I'm trying to do what I'm doing, is because sometimes we read these words and we don't have the cultural context to this. And here we're seeing it. It's not specifically saying that he was physically small. It's a derogatory, worthless, and despicable one had done to him. So, and that tracks with what comes along. And he said, "Cursed be Canaan," or Ham's offspring. "He shall be a slave among slaves to his brethren. You have caused me to be incapable of begetting another 4th son to serve me. Cursed be your 4th son, that he should minister to the children of these older ones, Shem and Japheth, upon whom the burden of serving me has been placed from now on." Now what did Ham see? What reason did he have that he castrated him? He said to his brothers, the first man, Adam, had 2 sons, and one killed the other so as to inherit the world. And our father has 3 sons and still desires a 4th. As this goes directly against what God called for humanity to do. Go forth and multiply. Swarm the earth. So Ham took it upon himself to make this decision that his father Noah should not have a 4th son. All of this is to say, for myself, God wants people. God loves people. He takes his time to fashion us in the womb. He takes his time to be with us. He's created this entire earth for us to be on. He has taken the time to not only make us and then give us this stuff, but give us the romancing effect of life. When you look into like I went up into the mountains this weekend on a motorcycle, And the aspens changed their leaves. The quaking aspens changed their leaves from green to yellow. But some of them had this deep orange. And so a lot of the trees, it almost looked like the tops of the trees were on fire. I know that they weren't, but there was just a beauty to the entire thing. This awe-inspiring moment. God gave us those things. He wants us here. He wants us to experience it. He wants us to be romanced with what He's given us. But He also has given us the task to care for it because He's given it to us. So why Ham, did you do this? If this is true, right? I mean, all I have from my text is saw his father's nakedness. So in the strictest sense, the literal sense, with this translation, I can simply just say, well, the guy shouldn't have looked at his dad naked, which is probably a despicable thing. But then comes some complexities, which I won't get into the nuance of that. But what I'm saying is like, we could look at it very literally, but we could also go with, okay, so this is what the culture says, or at least what this rabbi says, that he was castrated by his own son and potentially sodomized, which, I mean, hey, if that's true, it's very despicable of a son to do. So he curses him. I mean, it is pretty extreme, at least in my opinion, but culturally we don't look at seeing nakedness as bad as what they saw of this. And so maybe the literal sense is true. So and he said, "Cursed be Canaan, he shall be a slave among slaves to his brethren." So now we see this, the consequence is to become a slave of something. We as humanity, when we fell, we became a slave to our sins. Hence the curse. We became slaves. The land did not produce the way that it was meant to be. Work became toil. Then he says, "Blessed be." So now he blesses his brothers. "Blessed be the Lord, the God of Shem, and be Canaan be a slave to them. Blessed be the Lord, the God of Shem, who is destined to keep his promise to his seed, to give them the land of Canaan." Now we begin to see this concept of land, ownership. May God expand Japheth, and may he dwell in the tents of Shem, and may Canaan be a slave to them. Now we see tent making, structures coming in, but may God expand Japheth, translated by the Targum, meaning he will widen or expand, and may he dwell in the tents of Shem. May he cause his presence to rest in Israel. The interpretation of the sages, however, is although God will beautify Japheth insofar as Cyrus, who was the sons of Japheth, built the second temple, Shechineh did not rest therein, but where did it rest? And first the temple built by Solomon, who was the son of Shem. So this is speaking of hell, what will come to fruition with Japheth and Shem. And may Canaan be a slave. Even after the descendants of Shem are exiled, some of the descendants of Cain will be sold to them as slaves. So let's an overarching, really quick view there. God says, "Go out, be fruitful and multiply." Then he's like, "You can eat of things. Do not kill or do not consume the soul, basically, or a living thing. You will be held accountable for that." The next is, once again, God reiterating, "Be fruitful and multiply." So it's a juxtaposition to murder, kill, or stop genealogy. Then he gives us a promise. He says, "I will be faithful," and he has been, to not flood the entire world and kill everybody. And then the following lines are, Noah he did what God told him to do. He did make a vineyard, and he got drunk. So there's a little bit of, maybe not, he shouldn't have done that. I'm not sure. But he did get drunk. Ham did something to Noah. that was despicable, whether it was Saul's nakedness or castrated him or sodomized him. But his two other brothers honored his father. And so therefore the consequence of that is Canaan is cursed, will become the slaves of Shem and Japheth. And now Japheth and Shem are blessed. And now Noah lived after the flood 350 years, and all the days of Noah were 950 years, and he died. That ends the commentary and the reading. I thank you so much for staying here. This one was a bit longer than usual. I guess I'm starting to expand and speak more. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully it blesses you. And I hope to see you on the next one. This is And Why, the Bible reading series. Have a good one.